Sdei everyone, welcome to my new YouTube channel. It's not exactly brand new, but this is the first of many videos that I'm going to be creating and just sharing more about my journey as a Khmer American living here in Cambodia. A lot of you may know me from TikTok and Instagram, but I wanted to start creating more long form content on YouTube to share more details and more information about what I've been learning here in Cambodia, whether it's the language, history, culture, current events, or just travel vlogs and maybe more interviews with some very talented people here in Cambodia. If you haven't seen my interview with Van Than yet, go check it out. It's in Khmer, but we have English subtitles. Shout out to the Baramai team for helping with the translations. So, as many of you know, I'm a Khmer American born and raised in the US, and I didn't grow up speaking Khmer. And it was one of my lifelong goals to learn Khmer. And so I moved to Cambodia in mid 2022 to come and learn Khmer. And now I've been here for over 2.5 years. And one of the biggest questions I get from all of you, whether on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, is how did you learn Khmer? So today I want to share 5 tips that could possibly help you to learn Khmer, things that helped me. And I know that not everybody can necessarily come to Cambodia. I guess a little bit of background about how I started to learn Khmer. At the very beginning, it was probably during COVID, so maybe 2020, 2021. I started learning Khmer here and there online on Zoom with Buddhist monks, Khmer monks, teaching me Khmer, and I learned a little bit. It was like my first introduction, but I didn't learn that much. I wasn't really able to speak, but I would go to the temples and also learn in person once I was able to. But after a while, it's just wasn't enough for me to really hold conversations and really improve to the level I wanted to. And so I decided to come to Cambodia and learn Khmer here in Cambodia from Khmer people. And so, actually, the way that I went about it, I applied for this Khmer language and culture program hosted by the Center for Khmer Studies, which I believe is technically U.S. funded center for U.S. citizens. If you apply and you get in, it's all paid for the tuition of the classes and a lot of the and all the field trips, excursions, stuff like that. You just have to pay for your accommodation, flight, stuff like that, and food. But if you guys are interested, I can put the link in the description below, the Center for Khmer Studies. That was a 2-month intensive language course, like learning every 5 days a week for like, I think it was like 6, 7 hours a day. And so that was a lot. And it's for beginners as well. However, for me, because I knew a little bit of Khmer going into it, since as I mentioned, I had started learning with monks and at the temple in the US, I would say in terms of my speaking, it did improve a bit, but it was at a level for other Americans or other foreigners who don't know anything about Khmer language or Cambodia. And so I would say if you do know a little bit, it could still definitely be really helpful for you. So if you want to check it out, go ahead. I will say that did help me build my foundation for reading and writing Khmer and learning the alphabet, because it took me, even in the year and a half of me trying to learn with the monks in the US, I could not memorize that Khmer alphabet for my life. It is one of the largest alphabets in the world. If you didn't know, fun fact about Khmer. Lucky us, though, for us, you know, 1.5 generation kids either born or at least raised in the US or around the world, if you're watching this from a different country, that don't know how to speak Khmer and want to speak, and the reading and writing is just so hard. But it is a really crucial part of the language. So if you can, I definitely recommend learning to read and write as well. It'll definitely help with your pronunciation. After I did that 2-month intensive program learning Khmer, I still felt like my level was very beginner. And so I, again, wait for it, learned from monks again here in Cambodia, though this time, not in the US. The reason why, I'm Buddhist, my family's Buddhist, and we just have a pretty significant network in the Buddhist community. And so people always ask me like, oh, how did you learn Khmer? Like, or here in Cambodia, like, oh, what class did you take? And I'm like, I literally learned with monks, and it's not really accessible for other people, especially foreigners who are not even Khmer or don't know any Khmer at all. Like, my teachers didn't speak English to me, like barely ever spoke English to me during my like one-on-one classes. And so I had to know a little bit. And I also just half the time didn't understand them, and I was just struggling. But eventually we figured it out. As you can see. So Definitely not the easiest way to learn a language, but that's just what I did and what I had at my disposal. I also lived with some family members here in Cambodia, which also helped to just be surrounded by the language and just pick up on things that I would hear around the house. That helped me as well. So for me personally, immersion is such a great way to learn a language. But I know that a lot of you cannot just pick up and move to Cambodia like I did. So I want to give you 5 tips that I think can help you to learn Khmer or at least improve your Khmer. And so I have my laptop right here for my notes. So I'm going to be looking down. So just don't mind that. Unfortunately, as you probably know, there are not that many resources of easily available to learn Khmer, especially for English speakers or foreigners in general, compared to other languages. Like you have Duolingo and it has so many languages, but it doesn't have Khmer. Hopefully one day it can have Khmer. I would love to advocate for that or create my own Khmer online learning or course. That's one of my goals. But for now, this will have to do. Number one, the most important is to set goals, set specific goals, and track your progress. Everybody says, I want to learn Khmer, I want to be able to speak Khmer. Okay, but dal kompret na, which in Khmer means, okay, at what level until what level? Like you need to be specific about what you want to be able to do with the language, how much you want to be, like what proficiency level. It doesn't have to be into like, oh, this level of proficiency, but you do have to be like, okay, what do I really want to achieve? Like, do I want to be able to speak so fluently that I can talk to anyone and explain political ideologies and news? Maybe that's not everybody's goal. Some people might just want to be able to speak with their parents, or go to the temple and be able to speak with the elderly people, you know? And so you need to figure out what you really want in terms of the level of Khmer and understanding that you want. So for me, I got really specific with my goals, SMART goals, all of that. At the beginning, I could already introduce myself and like say the basic, like, yeah, I ate already, get my hair, stuff like that. During my first few months living here in Cambodia, I realized I needed to be specific with my goals. Otherwise, I was just going to be aimlessly trying to study and learn and constantly feel discouraged. Having goals is going to also allow you to feel more motivated as you get closer and closer to those goals and achieve, those small milestones. And so back in 2022, I had like I'm a big on documentation, big on like journaling and all that. And so I'm looking here at all of my old notes and stuff. Here were my goals. I'm literally showing you. I'll show you. This is on Notion. I love Notion. And this is from 2 years ago. I said goals. Tell how my day was, what I did, and how I feel. Express my thoughts and feelings and opinions. Be able to explain why I am vegan in Khmer. I used to be vegan. I'm not anymore. LOL. Cambodia changed me. Anyway, that could be another video. But yeah, I was vegan for a long time. And when I came to Cambodia, not a lot of people are vegan. And so I would always get the question, like when I go out to eat or wherever, they're like, why are you vegan? And I would have to explain, and it was really hard to explain because my reasonings were a lot of like had to do with sustainability, environmental issues, all these things, and so health and stuff. And so I was like, I want to be able to explain that in Khmer. Know and be able to use and understand kitchen vocabulary, verbs, foods, kitchen appliances. As I said, I did not grow up speaking Khmer. My mom either mostly spoke English to me. She also spoke Vietnamese to me because I'm Khmer-Krom, so she speaks Vietnamese as well. But mostly she spoke English because she's fluent in English. And so uh, I didn't know like how to call like a pot like chnang. I didn't know how to say pot in Khmer because and my mom never used it, and I didn't know all these different foods because I just didn't grow up with that. And so when I was living with family and my dad, my grandpa, or my ming and my aunt would like tell me something or ask me something to like do something in the kitchen, and I'd be like, I would just have to figure it out. But I wanted to be able to recognize those things more quickly. Another thing was to be able to confidently order food and drinks and ask questions at a store for where to find things. Damn, that was really hella specific. Yeah, because living here in Cambodia, I go to a cafe or a restaurant, and when I get up to the cashier or the person comes to my table, I'm like my heart is pounding out of my chest. It's so terrifying. And so I wanted to be able to confidently order, like, and not have them be like, what? Like, what are you saying? What can you say that again, kind of thing? And so that was a big thing for me at the beginning, and it took a long time. This one was also really big. Give directions. I often took tuk-tuks everywhere, like Grab or Pass Up to get around the city. Giving directions is crucial. Okay, typically, if you're just taking Grab, you enter it in the map, you don't have to really give directions, but sometimes I would need to, or I would use Pass App or something, and I would need to be able to say like stuff like that, which seems okay. By the way, that means turn right, turn left, go straight all the way. So it seems so simple, but like I didn't know how to say it, and I didn't want the drivers to like, I don't know, that's a whole other thing. But like I was like, no, I need them to be able to understand me. I don't want them to cheat me. Da da da. Another thing is tell people about myself and express myself. So explain what I studied in school, what my goals are in my career, and to help Khmer communities, and explain why I'm learning Khmer, because every single day somebody would ask me like about these things. What did you study in school? Why are you here in Cambodia? Why do you want to learn Khmer? And I needed to be able to explain that in Khmer. Oh, and my last thing was to be able to make jokes. I wanted to be able to make jokes in Khmer. I feel like personally, I'm kind of a funny person, but like if I can't tell jokes in Khmer, it's like it, it's missing a part of me. People are not seeing that side of me because it's like I don't know how to make jokes. So that was another goal of mine. Is like I want to be funny in another language in Khmer as well. So those were I literally just read this off from my Notion, dated from October 2nd, 2022. Um, so yeah, that was really long-winded, but the first thing is set specific goals. If you just say, yeah, I want to be able to, like, I just want to be able to speak Khmer. It's not enough. You need to know exactly what you want. So then you can figure out what types of phrases you need to be practicing and learning, and what types of questions you need to be asking. Tip number two, and this is a big one, but quite a challenge for many people: select your language learning resource. How are you going to learn Khmer? Where are you learning Khmer from? Are you going to register for a Khmer class? Or what are you going to do? I know that this is a huge challenge for people in the US and around the world, honestly, because there's just not that many Khmer classes available. For those of you in the US, I do know one online Khmer language course. I think there might be others, but the only one that I know is Daveth or Bong Daveth. I actually studied with him back in 2021 in the summer. He offers online language Khmer classes, I think on like Google Meet, and so I will put his page in the description below if you want to go check him out. He's great, affordable, and really understanding. Yeah, but if you're not able to do that, another option is go to our Khmer community. Where's the center of our Khmer community? Wat, the temple. Even if you're Buddhist or not, you are always welcome at our Khmer temples, at our Wats. So I recommend checking with your local temple and see if they offer Khmer classes. They might not be advertising, but there might be monks or community people, like the Lok Achan, or like, like an older Bu Om or something, teaching Khmer, or that could teach Khmer. Maybe they don't have a class yet right now, but if you approach them, I am so sure that either the monk or somebody would want, specifically the monks, would want to teach Khmer. I mean, like they're there to be a resource for us, right, for our community and stuff. And so, you know, most of them have experience teaching Khmer. Not all, but a lot of monks in the U.S. actually do know some English nowadays. So potentially they could help teach you, and like facilitate the learning process using some English and Khmer. But also learning in Khmer is like a good thing. I know how intimidating it can be though sometimes, but just try. They're actually really welcoming, and they wanted to help and teach other Khmer kids, go in Khmer, teach them Khmer. Another option could be your parents, elders, or family members. This is assuming that you're Khmer or you have Khmer family. And this is a really good way to get quality time with those family members. A lot of us, we take it for granted and we don't actually get to spend a lot of quality time with our family members. And so asking them to teach you Khmer or to practice speaking Khmer with you is a really good way to, do both of those things at the same time. I'm a really big advocate for this, even though I don't necessarily do it all the time for myself. But I know like my grandmother, my late grandmother, I never got to speak Khmer with her, and I always was sad about that once I started learning Khmer because it was just like too late. So in my opinion, it's like do it before it's too late. Do you know that for some people it is too late, or they don't have any Khmer family members that they can do this with? So Another option, I actually haven't tried this myself, but I've heard about this website called Preply, where you can connect with online language tutors like native speakers, and you pay through that. Somebody recommended this to me, and so yeah, check that out. And if you do check it out or you have done it before, let me know how it is. I would love to learn, and I'm sure other people would love to hear about your experience in the comments below. Finally, if you don't have time to do any of those things to learn Khmer, I understand. I hear you. I get you. We're all busy. You know, we have so much going on. It's really hard to find time to be consistent learning the language. However, the truth is, if you don't make the time to learn or find a way to learn Khmer, you're not going to be able to improve or learn as much and get to the level of Khmer that you want to get to, unfortunately. So I'm not saying that it's impossible. You can still improve your Khmer, but I'm just going to preface with that. You need to commit if you're really, really serious about it. If you really do want to learn Khmer, you can find a way. I know you can find a way. It might be really hard. You might not be in an area that has, a Khmer community. I get it. But if you really, really are determined and really want to learn Khmer, I'm sure you can find a way. If you aren't able to do that, and even if you are able to do one of those things, I also recommend tip number 3, watch Khmer content. There's so many different forms of Khmer content out there. Okay, I wouldn't say so many if you compare to other languages. There's only a little bit, but there are some. These are the 3 forms of content that I like the best and that are actually entertaining, that you actually want to do. It's not like, ugh, I'm gonna read this book. Okay, no hate to reading. I love reading as well. But anyways, the first one is Khmer content creators. You're on social media all the time anyways. Might as well learn Khmer at the same time. I'm not saying people that are teaching Khmer, they might have that as well. But I mean, like, interesting like content creators like that are making vlogs or making videos about things you like lifestyle, but they're doing it in Khmer. Like, there's so many beauty content creators, food content creators, skits, stuff like that, whatever you're into. Here are some of the few content creators that I watched when I first moved to Cambodia, to like just try to listen and like pick up on phrases that they would say and start saying them as well. The first person is Jany Min. If you don't know her, she's like this hilarious content creator who makes like skits, super creative, just really high quality video content. Yeah, it's actually funny. I used to watch her and now I know her and I'm friends with her, but that's besides the point. Um, Another person is ChaCha. Their content is hilarious. It's like, honestly, I don't even know how to explain it. A lot of like parodies of stuff. So like songs and like trends and stuff like that. You can find them on Facebook, TikTok. They do have Instagram as well, but I would say for the most part, Facebook and TikTok is the gold mine for Khmer content creators and Khmer content. If you're not on Khmer TikTok, what are you doing? If you're not and you need to find Khmer TikTok, search it up, or you can follow on my Instagram or TikTok. On TikTok, I repost a lot of my content creators' videos that I like and think are funny or relatable. And then same on Instagram, I'll share it to my Instagram stories. There's also this one food content creator who she makes Khmer food, and she's really famous. I think she's from Banteay in Jay province, and her accent is just amazing. I love it, and she makes amazing food content. I watch food content in general, regardless of the language. So it's like watching it in Khmer and seeing Khmer food is super cool. I forgot her name, but I'll try to find her handle and put it in the description as well. The second form of Khmer content that you should be watching is Khmer music videos. Yes, Khmer music as well, but I found for me at the beginning learning Khmer, I couldn't understand the music videos and the lyrics. Like, it was just, I didn't understand it. Also, like, singers speak in like their lyrics are like poems and I just don't understand. So music videos, on the other hand, when there's English subtitles, you can actually understand what they're trying to get at, and then you can like listen to the song and you start to remember, because it's easier to remember songs, right? I like the lyrics, and so that's a good way. Baramai, they do a really good job of putting English subtitles on their YouTube videos, like on their music videos on YouTube, and if it's not in subtitles, they'll put it in the transcription below as well. The third form of Khmer content that you should be watching, and it's probably my favorite, I'm about to put you on, is Khmer narrated movies and TV shows. I'm not talking about the Khmer dub old shows that your parents watch. My mom watches it too. No. There's this YouTube channel called Maom, and they are the best at this here in Cambodia. They have like 2 million subscribers. My coworker, shout out to my mom, she put me onto this. Oh my God. So basically, what they do is they take famous movies and TV shows and they just narrate a summary of the movie, of like what happens in the movie, and they do it all in Khmer. And so it's like you can watch a movie that you've already seen. For example, like I've seen Moana 100 times. I watched the Khmer Srey version of it summarized. Oh, I just realized summarize. Anyway, Yeah, I watched the Khmer summarized version of it, and it's like I already knew what was happening because I understood the story of Moana because I've seen it so many times, but I could hear it be told in Khmer, so I'd be like, "Oh, that's how you say that in Khmer," or "Oh, I actually understand what they're saying because I can see what's happening." And so this is a really good to just like hear storytelling in Khmer and like learn new vocabulary and phrases. I saw they even recently had Wednesday, like from the Addams Family, you know, the Netflix show with Jenna Ortega. So they have a lot of stuff on there, like not just animation, but like everything. So go check it out. I'll put the link in the description as well. Moving on to tip number 4. Y'all are not going to like this, but you got to do it. You need to speak Khmer every day. Every day. And you're going to be like, Priscilla, Sela, how do I do that if I can't speak Khmer? With the little that you learn from the other tips that I mentioned earlier, you know, write these things down and practice speaking them and then start memorizing them. The more you say it out loud, the more it's going to start to stick from pronunciation to the flow, like order of the words. It's eventually going to start to stick. For example, what you can do is you wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror, depending on what level you're at, is you can practice, you know, the phrases that you're trying to learn and work on. For example, if you're just starting to learn to introduce yourself, you look in the mirror, ជំរាបសួរ ខ្ញុំឈ្មោះសេឡា ខ្ញុំអាយុ and stuff like that. Or if you're a higher level, you know what I mean? So practice speaking every day. The best way to do this is to speak with other Khmer speakers. So if you have family members, your parents, elders, whoever, or you have friends who you can speak Khmer with, that's the best. Just give them, FaceTime them, call them, or meet up with them for coffee, have dinner. Another thing, ask your parents or your family if you're Khmer, ask them to only speak Khmer with you. I tried to do this with my mom. It was really hard because we don't naturally do that. But this is also a good way. Like if your parents speak Khmer, tell them, Mom, like, Ma, Pa, don't speak, please don't speak English to me unless there's like a word like I don't know. But like, please try to use Khmer with me. Other things, it's like try to translate common daily phrases that you use into Khmer. So for example, it's like, oh, I'm going to work. Like I would say that, I could say that on a daily basis. How would I say that in Khmer? Like think about these things. And if you don't know how, ask someone or use Google Translate. I know Google Translate isn't the best. It's often can be wrong sometimes, but you know, generally for basic phrases, it's pretty accurate. So use those resources, try and practice speaking out loud, practice your pronunciation, and eventually you'll get more used to it. Oh, also record yourself speaking and listen back to it. Sometimes when I speak, I think I'm sounding one way. When it comes out, it sounds a different way. And I don't know until I record myself. So record yourself and then you can be like, oh, that sounds really bad. What language am I speaking? And you can practice and improve. Oh, another thing you could do. Oh my God, I'm like, just like have so many ideas. Ask your Khmer family members or friends to record themselves speaking Khmer and saying phrases that you want to learn. Like be like, Mom, can you send me like, Matt, can you send me a voice recording of like how to say this? And then listen to it. Like have her send it, listen to it every day and practice like speaking, like following it, copying it. And finally, tip number 5 is to ask questions. Ask, 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 ask away. If you have Khmer family members or friends that you can ask questions to about the language, how to say something, ask. I urge you. And don't pretend like you understand when you don't. I did that. I'm the queen of doing that. I would always just be like, "Ja, oh," and I don't know what they're saying. And I've been caught so many times. You're like, "Do you know what that means?" And I'm like, no, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself by not asking. A great way to do this that I recommend when you're with your family or community, for example, say it's a holiday and you're spending time with them, insert yourself into the conversations with your mom, with your boos and mings and your ohms. Like, for example, say you're having a family party and they're cooking in the kitchen. Go in the kitchen and help them cook. Like, I remember I used to be that. I used to be like the one that's like, I want to get out of there. I don't want to be around them. I can't understand them. Like, I feel awkward. They're going to tell me to like do something and I'm not going to understand how to do it. Like, I tried to avoid those situations as much as possible growing up. But I realized, especially after moving to Cambodia, like those are so special. And that's when you learn the most because specifically if you're doing something and they tell you, you can like see, you know, they might like motion over at something. And even if you can't understand, you can use your context clues and be like, oh, they want me to go get that like bowl over there, for example. Like say you're there in the kitchen cooking with your family and you're listening, right? Listen and be like, ask what does that mean? If it, I mean, assuming they can understand a little bit of English and be like, what does that mean? Or if you need to say in Khmer, like, oh, bing, anong minute hamik, anong minute hamik. That just means like, oh, what does that mean? Or you can be like, say a word in English and be like, oh, any, say like, I don't know, fruit. fruit yay thamai jepasa khmai, stuff like that. Maybe I'll make another video on like how to ask these kind of questions. So insert yourself, and this is also a good opportunity to spend that quality time with your family. My last piece of advice, I guess it's technically the sixth tip, but you need to accept and be okay with messing up, with saying things wrong, with mispronouncing things, with not understanding, with sounding silly, with being embarrassed. You need to accept it and be okay with it. It's the only way you're going to get better. If you're like me, like I was, you're afraid to mess up and you're afraid to get embarrassed, you're afraid to get laughed at, and then you just decide not to speak, you're not gonna get better. I totally understand the like excruciating embarrassment of like messing up and people laughing at you, because yeah, Khmer people laugh at you. Don't be fooled. I know you guys know. Khmer people will laugh right in your face and be like, "What did you just say?" Or like they're like, "Oh my god, you speak Khmer so funny. You da da da. You speak Achba." I know how much it hurts, girl. I hear you. I am sensitive. I used to like they used to get to me. It used to really discourage me. Like there was times living here in Cambodia where I was like, I want to go back home. Like I can't handle this. I want to stop. Like I was so discouraged, but I'm so glad it didn't discourage me. I could have let that discourage me, but I didn't, because I wouldn't be here today making content in Khmer on social media as a content creator. I wouldn't be out here doing interviews in Khmer, fully in Khmer. I wouldn't be, working a full-time job speaking Khmer, doing presentations and facilitating workshops in Khmer. I never could have imagined getting to this point. Emceeing an event. I just emceed my first event in Khmer. I literally didn't think I could do it, but I challenged myself and I just embraced the fear of messing up, embraced, like the fact that I'm not going to be perfect, but that's the only way that I'm going to improve. You got to accept it and just go with it. That's the only way you're going to get better. That's the only way you're going to improve your Khmer. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my 5, or I guess 6 tips for learning Khmer or improving your Khmer. If you have any questions, you can comment down below, or if you have any advice or resources or other tips that has helped you, please let us know. Share with the crowd, Please comment down below. Also, please like and subscribe if this video helped you, and share it with somebody else who also wants to learn Khmer. And with that, akon everyone. See you in the next video.